Hey everyone, thank you for listening to another episode of Spoiler Force Podcast. You can find more episodes on Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, or YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe and make sure to follow Spoiler Force Podcast on Facebook.
Hi there, this is Krystal from Anime Oils, and you're listening to Spoiler Force Podcast.
Alright, so this is episode 50 of Spoiler Force Podcast. My name is Ricky, and thank you for tuning in. So, the guest I have for this week is someone that I've met back at Michigan Comic Convention of August 2019. I've actually had my Demon Slayer art done by the artist that I have this week. You may have seen the pictures or the photos on my Instagram or on the Pop Luck page. Let me introduce my guest here, Krystal of Anime Oils. Thank you so much for doing this podcast.
Hello. Yeah, no problem. Thank you for having me.
So I met you back in August, and during that weekend, I was only there for that Saturday. I was looking for Demon Slayer art because of the anime that was out during that time, and it was just right after the amazing episode 19 of Demon Slayer of the anime. So I was going around booths, and I was looking for pretty much anything that was like Tanjiro or Nezuko related. And I just so happened to come by your booth, and it was you and another, I guess, associate that you have. I don't remember his name, but he had the Super Saiyan blue hair wig on. Pretty much, I went to your booth, and I met you. I asked you if you had any Demon Slayer art, and at the time you didn't, but you offered the commission. And so I took it, and I came home with a Tanjiro and Nezuko 8x10 anime oil commission art done by you, so thank you for that. And by now you've seen Demon Slayer already, right?
Yep, actually because of you and drawing all the Demon Slayer, I was like, oh, it's only 26 episodes, so I'm going to watch it. And I literally cried about 5 times during the series. It's a really, really great anime.
At the time, the series was it was almost done. And again, with episode 19, that episode itself was so emotional, like with Nezuko not Nezuko, but Tanjiro fighting Rui to save Nezuko. And I loved how you did the art, especially how you drew the Nezuko 8x10 for me. And for listeners, I'll post up the photos again on the Spoiler First page, but it's a spoiler alert because at the time, the panel I used of Nezuko was actually from the manga, so it's not even in the anime yet. So that's a little spoiler there. But you did it so well, and at the time I had you do the pretty much like black and white with like a little bit of like coloring. I believe at the time you colored in her eyes. Since then I've had you do another set of the Zenitsu and Inosuke 8x10s, and then the latest one you've done for me was the connecting 8x10 cover art of Tanjiro, Zenitsu, and Inosuke. And that one's by far my favorite. I really enjoyed that, and I thought it turned out really great. Have you done more Demon Slayer or anything new since then?
No Demon Slayer yet, but I'm planning to do a couple 16 by 20 inch canvases of Demon Slayer. Just by the way that the last 3 panels that I made for you, that definitely took the longest. I worked really hard on those. Right now, actually, I'm working on a commission for a client, and it's a 16 by 40 inch canvas panel, and it's of Rengoku, and it's going to be in blacklight.
Now, is there like a particular paint that you have to use for that?
Yes, I use acrylic blacklight paint. I buy a set of 6 of them through Amazon Prime. It doesn't really cost too much either. It's like $10 for 6 little paints.
So for fans who don't know of you, Krystal, can you kind of just like talk about how you got into painting and doing commissions and even going to like being able to sell your art at conventions?
So I started drawing in 4th grade. I was inspired because of the Toonami fan art bump. Toonami, where they played Sailor Moon, Dragon Ball Z, all the animes right after school. And I started drawing because of that. I actually got one of my drawings on the Toonami fan art bump on TV of Sailor Mars, and ever since then, I've been completely inspired to keep drawing. I started oil painting when I was 18 years old. I'm self-taught with painting, and I actually stopped doing art altogether for about 6 years. And about 2.5 years ago, like the spark reignited, and I started drawing again. And my one of my goals and dreams was to start doing it at conventions. So first, I created a website, started to get a little bit of product. My first convention was November of 2017 in Arkansas, and I had about 9 products, just 9 original drawings, no prints or anything. And within the 2.5 years, I've built a fan base, and now I have about over 100 prints for sale and lots of paintings for sale. I'm booked with a lot of commissions, and I just keep on growing.
Now, were there any, I guess, inspirations or any artists that helped you to get into painting or even drawing when you first started, or was it just the love of anime that you had?
It was definitely the love of anime that I had. Sailor Moon was a big inspiration, and then after Sailor Moon, I got into Dragon Ball Z and just completely fell in love with it. And I'm still in love with Dragon Ball Z, even Dragon Ball Super and all of that. Still a big inspiration, even in my life, not just art. What really inspires me is looking at anime art books. So I would look at anime art books of Sailor Moon, the manga style, and RG Veda and Dragon Ball, Angel Sanctuary. I don't really read manga, but I love the manga art book.
Yeah, manga art book is it's always different. It amazes me how different it is from like the animation, right? The for example, like Demon Slayer is one of my favorite examples. Demon Slayer, the manga itself, they're mostly like drawn kind of like derpy in a way that it's not too detailed. But when you watch the anime, it's done so amazingly well. So the art style, there's a huge contrast in that, and the same thing goes with Dragon Ball Z too. Like I know that animators do things a little bit differently, but with the manga of Dragon Ball Z or even Super, there's like a consistency there. And then when you watch like the anime or even the movies, there's a bit of a difference there. But speaking of Dragon Ball, I did myself. I used to buy like the Scholastic Dragon Ball Z like how to draw characters. I still have those till this day, and I'm not a great artist, so I can't really draw to save my life. But what you've mentioned kind of reminded me of that, of like how buying books just to learn how to draw or even trace these anime characters. Did you buy any of that stuff as well, like growing up in school too?
I actually bought a couple books of the How to Draw manga, but I never really could get into it. I guess I just had my own way of drawing. The thing I learned most is not with how to draw manga books, but figure drawing and drawing the human body and perspective. That really helps me the most so I can make poses.
So you pretty much freehand draw then when you're drawing these anime characters when it comes to like when they're making poses or standing in different stances or forms instead of drawing them from straight from the, I guess, the actual photo of itself, right?
I draw both, so it depends on what commission or what idea I have. I like to draw both, like right from the image, but still freehand it, and I like doing my own poses. It just depends. What I like about looking at a photo is later on down the road, it's already in my brain. It's easier to make characters completely on point. It's like I'm still training.
Do you do like any other techniques besides like the oil painting? I guess then do you do like any watercolor painting or any different type of art style when it comes to making your art, or does it is it mostly just the oil painting that you do?
So I've been doing oil paintings for quite some time now, but I have done in the past charcoal drawings, pastel drawings. I've done paper mache drawings, collages. I've done a lot of graphic design work in Photoshop. I've done animation. I've used color pencils. I've done a lot of anime digital artwork in the past. And yeah, I've used a lot of mediums in the past, and in high school we had a really big art program, so I got to learn a whole bunch of different techniques and use a lot of different mediums. I actually went to college for animation, and I got a 2-year associate's degree, And then after I got my degree, I realized that I don't like animation. I like character design more, and I'd rather, what you couldn't do in school is draw anime. Anime was very looked down upon. So now going to these conventions and selling my art online and getting commissions, I actually get to do what I love now.
What are your thoughts on that? Like with this huge change of anime lately for the past couple of years now, or even decade really, anime's been making a big boom in the mainstream media. You know, you've got like sport athletes representing like Naruto and Dragon Ball Z, and then everyone who used to really make fun of anime are all into the genre now. So what are your thoughts on that?
I really love that it's going mainstream. I mean, I haven't been to school in a while, but I know back in the day I could not draw anime at all. I couldn't even draw my own anime characters. Is very looked down upon, so I'm not sure if schools are more acceptable to drawing anime, but I hope they should be because it is still artwork and it still takes a lot of talent to do. I really love that Goku was in the Macy's Thanksgiving Day parade. That
Yes.
was pretty awesome.
Yeah, it was the Super Saiyan Blue Goku, and that was such a huge deal in the anime fandom. You know, like because Goku represents so much of what we love about anime, and he's one of the top tier characters out there. And speaking of that too, Crystal, I know you're a huge Dragon Ball Z fan. You usually showcase on Facebook or even like show photos of his, I believe, his Trunks. Now, what made you, I guess, draw into that or get into that character of Trunks at the time, or even now?
Well, I really like Future Trunks's backstory, how it's very apocalyptic, very dramatic, and I love that Trunks is the hero, the main hero of his own timeline, so it's not all about Goku. I really love Trunks's personality, and to me, he is the only character that actually gets things done. He just gets straight down to business. Like after the Cell arc, he went back to the future and just destroyed the androids right away, didn't mess around, and destroyed Cell right away. So I think that is really awesome.
And you're caught up on Dragon Ball Super, right?
Yes.
Okay, so what did you think of the change of his character then in Super? Because I know that he hasn't changed too much from Dragon Ball Z, but I guess when it comes to like power scaling or even his looks, because I think Toriyama forgot his hair color and it was instead of purple it was blue. He also fought Goku Black and Zamas at that time too, and since then he hasn't really been able to, I guess, compared to Goku and Vegeta, he wasn't. He's still kind of like the same still from Dragon Ball Z, still reaching at the just being Super Saiyan. And what are your thoughts on how his character was represented or showcased in Dragon Ball Super?
So I wasn't really a big fan of the hair color change, but I know I've seen pictures of the manga back in the day, and he originally has blue hair, so it makes a little bit of sense. To me, the main part is personality, so Trunks' personality is pretty much the same, so that's why I didn't mind Trunks Super. I notice whenever he's around Goku and Vegeta, his potential and power level just increases dramatically. I think, like, to me, he shows the most growth in a short amount of time. Like, he went from Super Saiyan 2 to Super Saiyan Rage and was on the same level as Goku Black, which is amazing. That's intense growth in such a short amount of time. And I loved his final attack, the Spirit Sword. I think it was amazing. I'm kind of upset because they should have ended it with that and not have Zamasu come back and he's just this consciousness.
What did you think of that arc though? Because it was definitely centered around his timeline for sure, but then pretty much the showcasing of pretty much Goku and Vegeta being blue, and then Vegeta Blue came around. Because I thought personally that the Zama's arc was the best arc out of all of Dragon Ball Super. I felt like it was kind of unnecessary to have the Tournament of Power. I felt like it should have been switched around, showing the Tournament of Power first and then the ending with the Zamas arc, because I thought Zamas himself was probably one of the best villains in Super.
I completely agree with you. The Goku Black arc is my second favorite arc. The Cell arc, of course, is my first. Both of them have Trunks in it. But I love Goku Black and Zamasu as characters. Goku Black is my favorite villain, actually, and I feel that Zamasu is the most powerful villain in the Dragon Ball universe just because it took Zeno to kill him.
Yeah.
Zeno had to erase the entire pretty much timeline just to kill him. And then he was so powerful when his consciousness broke free that he was starting to rip through other timelines, if you remember that, which is so awesome. And then if you remember in the arc, we get another appearance by Vegito, which is totally amazing. Vegito is also one of my top favorite characters, so that was really cool to see.
With Trunks not being in the Tournament of Power, what were your thoughts of that? Because I know there were some fans who wanted Trunks to be a part of that team, since they were pretty much fighting for their universe. So would you had want him to be in that, I guess, that group at that time of the arc that was going on too?
Oh, of course. I wish Future Trunks was in all of the seasons, the whole entire series. And what was really a downer for me was that at the end of the Goku Black arc, they just we sends Future Trunks and Mai to a different timeline, so there's going to be two versions of themselves, and I really wish this could have been a great opportunity for Future Trunks to stay in the past or stay in the present and actually grow as a character and just be around all the people that he's friends with, all the people that he loves. So it was very disappointing that they didn't go that route.
Yeah, and I agree with that too. I that's what I thought too. Instead of having him go to a different timeline, that was kind of like in a way a cop out for his character. Because I thought it would have been great to have him just around the original cast, and since he's already been part of their group since the Cell series, just might as well have him in there. And plus, he's a fan favorite. But I know that there's like some OVAs or like the outside Dragon Ball stuff that where he's like a time cop or something like that now, and he reached to like Super Saiyan Red. At some point, have you seen any of those?
I've seen a little bit of it's in Dragon Ball Heroes, and I know
Yeah,
he's part of the Time Police and Xenoverse video game. I haven't watched up to the point where he does become Super Saiyan God Red, but I watched a little bit of Dragon Ball Heroes. It's a lot of fan service. I didn't really get into it. I know a lot of people really love Heroes, but I just couldn't get into it.
yeah. I only watched it just because they had like the other characters like Hit and Jiren in it, and Zamas makes a return in that series too. So I decided to watch a few bits and pieces of the clips and stuff. I couldn't really grasp onto it because I felt like you said, it was just a lot of fan servicing, with the Kais or the evil Kais, and then they even threw in like Super Saiyan 4 Goku and Vegeta as alternate versions of Goku and Vegeta too. So, were there any other animes that you enjoyed watching growing up as well?
Well, I really, really love Cowboy Bebop. I grew up with Tenchi Universe, Tenchi in Tokyo. I really love the Tenchi series. Um, I've watched quite a few other ones. Like I love Naruto. I love Shippuden. I recently just watched Hunter x Hunter. I really, really love that anime. And I finished Bleach. I watched Bleach up to about episode 100 when I was back in high school. And then there was just way too much filler. And at that time, it's not like you could look up a filler guide on Google or anything. So I finally finished Bleach and skipped all the filler. And it turns out my favorite character, Grimjaw from Bleach, he his first appearance was episode 110. So I missed his appearance back in the day in high school by 10 episodes.
Yeah, you posted a photo because like I shared like a little side by side photo of like, let me copy your homework, and it's like three characters who are from different series that look alike, and then you posted one with Gundrov and Ban from or is it Ban from
Bond.
yeah, from Seven Deadly Sins, and how similar they look like too, and it's crazy with Grimdrop's character, like how he starts off as an antagonist in Bleach, and then now he's kind of like the anti-hero kind of character. I did not like the pretty much arcs after that because I thought that when they finished off Aizen, I thought that was good enough for the show. But I do know that they are starting another arc or animating another arc with Grimdrop coming back too. So what are your thoughts on that?
I am very excited because I actually stopped after the Aizen arc as well. I just wasn't interested in any of the rest. To me, it was just filler. And then I looked up the manga and I saw, they didn't even animate this last arc. And then I saw Grimjaw in it and I saw all these pictures. So I just found out about it about a week ago. So I am very excited.
And I loved how they changed his look too, because he's not in the Espada's uniform anymore. He kind of has like more of like street clothing a little bit. And then Nell's back in the cast too, so I thought that was really cool that they kept those two characters together. One of my favorite Espadas from Bleach was actually Ukiora, but then he died from getting killed by the Hollow Ichigo. I wish he kind of stayed longer. I thought he would have been a great addition to the cast too, but it's how they wrote the story. But Grimdrop is a fantastic character too. I love the aggressiveness of his characteristics, like how how he never stopped fighting Ichigo. How he just kept going and going, and up until where Ichigo stopped him. And then I love that little cliffhanger that they did, where you think he's dead, and then they just stopped it from there, and then you realize he's still alive and around.
What's really cool about the new series that they're coming out is Nell is my favorite female character. So they both are coming back. I'm very excited about that.
You mentioned like Tenchi and Tenchi Universe and Tenchi in Tokyo. Those are shows that I grew up watching too, and I loved. I don't know, it's something about that series was just so comedic to me, And I know that each show itself is like almost in a way like a retelling of the actual character. Tenchi in Tokyo is like the last one I've watched. I know there's more modern ones now, so I haven't been keeping up with those. Have you received any like Tenchi commissions at all?
I have not received any Tenchi commissions, but one of my first paintings on an 8x10 was of Ryoko.
Oh, she's
And
my
by
favorite
the way,
character.
yep, same here. Yeah, Ryoko is my favorite character in the Tenchi series, and I definitely recommend. So there's Tenchi, and then there's Tenchi in Tokyo, and then the third one they're all related is Tenchi Universe. So I definitely recommend to watch Tenchi Universe. I feel that it is the best series out of the three.
I recently rewatched that a few months ago on Hulu. I think I don't know if it's still on there or not, but yeah, Tenchi Universe
No,
had.
it's not. I checked.
Oh, out of the storylines, that one was the most consistent one. It wasn't like because I felt like Tenchi in Tokyo was just too comedic. Like it didn't really have any good antagonist or any good story build. It was just him being in Tokyo with Sakura. I think that's the girl's name, and then having the other female characters like going back and forth through that warp and messing up with Tenchi's schooling. So I thought that was just a little bit too comedic. And then the first Tenchi Muyo was just too short. So Tenchi Universe was like just perfect, and I love the story of how they were traveling in space.
My favorite anime movie is actually Tenchi Muyo in Love. That's where they introduced Tenchi's mother, Achika.
Do you prefer sub or dub?
I prefer dubbed with the Dragon Ball series. And then for the rest, mostly all the rest of the animes, I prefer subbed, especially like Naruto and Bleach and all of that. I prefer subbed, but for some reason, the Dragon Ball series, I love the dubbed version more, and especially I love the Bruce Faulkner background audio soundtrack a lot better than the original Japanese background audio. So it's always a quest to find any streams or anything that have the Bruce Faulkner English audio instead of the Japanese audio. It's like that techno trance guitar metal vibe.
Yes.
And I felt, yes, you know what I'm talking
Yeah,
about.
I agree with that too because the way how Falconer did his music for Dragon Ball was just perfect. Like you said, it's a mix of rock with a little bit of techno, but then it wasn't like too retro like how the original Dragon Ball music was. When things got climactic in Dragon Ball Z, the Falconer music was perfect. One of my favorite tracks is when like it's right before Vegeta commits suicide fighting Boo. I just love the background music for that scene, and I think if anything, Vegeta probably had the best music when it came to just character themes and stuff. And Trunks' theme was really good too, but Yeah, like Falconer just had a great way to make the scenes intense with just his music, and I think that's what made really Dragon Ball Z iconic in America because of the music. You know, people don't really like think of that much, but along with the dub and along with the music that they had, it made it seem like it made it really pop when it came to the show itself. Because when you watch like Kai or even like I don't know if there's like any Blu-rays or stuff with the original music, but like when you do watch the dub with the original music, it's just really out of place.
I completely agree. It's the Japanese audio just sounds not with the times. I just could not get into it. The whole vibe is ruined. I tried watching a stream with the Japanese audio and I had to turn it off in like 5 minutes into it.
And it's surprising too, like with Dragon Ball Super, how the original cast is still up and around too. Like especially the voice actor for Goku, like she's been around for years and she's still playing that same character as Goku. And speaking of voice actors too, you've met Chris Sabat and Sean Shemo and some of the cast members of Dragon Ball Z. So how was that like? Can you talk about that experience? They even signed one of your artwork that you did too. The I don't know what size that canvas was, but one of the bigger canvases that you've made.
It's a great experience. The ones that the voice actor signed is my 36 by 48 inch blacklight oil painting of Majin Vegeta versus Goku. I had Chris, the voice of Vegeta, Sean, voice of Goku, and Josh Martin, voice of Boo, sign it. So that was an awesome experience. And when I was getting Vegeta Chris Sabat's autograph in Minneapolis GalaxyCon, that's where I got the autographs, he actually remembered me and he's like, "Oh, hey, how's it going, Anime Oils?" So that felt really, really good. I actually know the voice actor of Trunks, Eric Bale, and I did this giant oil painting of the scene where Trunks goes Super Saiyan and the dead Gohan's right in front of him. And I did an oil painting of that, and he saw the print of it, and he actually bought the print off of me, and he is now using that print at his conventions to sign autographs with, which is really awesome. So he was my first voice actor that I worked with my artwork. And then now I'm working with Marcus Damac. He's the voice of Bergamo. He's like the wolf guy, the blue wolf guy from the Tournament of Power in Dragon Ball Super. And I did a painting for him. So he bought the painting and then he's using the painting as prints at all of his conventions too. And I actually did a second painting for him recently, about 2 weeks ago, and he does the voice of Doc or Don Bossman, I believe, from the new Funimation anime series called Radiant. And I did a painting of Doc Bossman, and then his friend's a voice actor, and he does the voice of Don, so they're hugging each other. So that was a lot of fun to do.
With these interactions with these Funimation actors, would you like to try to get sponsored by them too, or by Funimation too, since you're able to do all these amazing stuff with these actors? I had no idea that you got to work with Eric Bale like that, so that's really amazing.
I would love to be sponsored by Funimation. I would absolutely love that, and then I wouldn't have to worry about copyright issues or anything like that. I guess time will tell, and we'll see what will happen in the future. Hopefully, conventions start back up so I can keep getting my name out there and my artwork out there.
Yeah, because I know, like during this time with this pandemic going on, it's taking a hit on a lot of independent artists or even booths, and I have another artist coming up on the podcast too. That goes to conventions, and that's where most of their income is from. And you know, how are you kind of dealing with this right now? Hopefully, by the time this episode is uploaded, that this pandemic is done, that we can go back to work and go back to our normal lives. But how are you dealing with this right now?
The best that I possibly can. I actually do have a day job, so I've just been getting extra hours at my day job for financial security. I lay in my bed and just go on Facebook newsfeed to kill away the pain because, unfortunately, Dragon Ball Z, the Dragon Ball Z convention in Dallas, Texas, it's called Kamehacon, is May 1st through the 3rd, and those are the best 3 days of my life, the best convention of the year. I always get super pumped up every year to go to that convention, and right now I have zero inspiration to prepare for that convention or do any paintings for that convention. And the unfortunate part is if the convention does get canceled, so this kind of convention, because it's newer, it probably won't get postponed. It'll just get completely canceled. And if that happens, through the grapevine, I've heard that there probably will never be another Dragon Ball Z convention again if it does get canceled. So I'm holding in my tears.
Oh wow, I had no idea. I've heard of Kamehacon before. I've never been there myself, but I didn't realize it was such a new con. So that's sad to hear. I know that there's a convention that I'm going to in Waco, Texas, which is a DreamCon. It's another anime con too. They're roughly new because they'll be doing. They'll be attempting their, I believe, their third or fourth year this year, depending on how this global epidemic, like when it ends. It's sometime around June. Hopefully nothing happens during. It doesn't get extended to that point, but they do have like anime conventions there, and there were some artists that you tagged on Facebook that were at that con before too. Um, so hopefully, if that doesn't get canceled, hopefully you can try to get to that convention too. Do you only do just like anime cons? Do you ever go to like comic conventions at all?
Yes, most definitely. I do go to comic book conventions as well. I've been to MightyCon Milwaukee, MightyCon Madison. The Galaxy Cons are more comic book based. I've been to Wizard World Chicago, Wisconsin Comic Convention. There's a couple other ones. Dallas Fan Days, that's a comic book convention. It's not just anime, but my favorite conventions to go to, of course, are anime conventions, but sometimes it's harder to get into at anime cons. A lot of them are juried, or a lot of them have a lottery system, which is unfortunate. So they'll get juried, and then the ones they approve, they'll just put it in a lottery, so it's completely random. You don't even know if you're going to get a table spot.
And have you tried going to like Anime Expo at all in LA?
I want to eventually. The table cost is $500 for a table, and they don't allow grid walls or anything. You can only have a couple easels, so there's a lot of restrictions. So when I have the funds, I'll probably try to go to Anime Expo.
Because I've been there. I went there in 2015. I didn't get to spend a lot of time in Artist Alley, but I did buy some art from like specific artists. Like there's one artist that I met, James Gio. He did some stuff for like Udon and Street Fighter and Capcom like that. I got to meet him, and like there's just a bunch of other like local artists in California that I met. There was one like I bought specifically. It was a Death Note print. I forgot who the artist was. She was a young artist, so I just saw it and I bought it on the spot. And I know that you do a lot of like different drawings of different animes and stuff like that too. Has there been a time where like you got any commissions that were either like really weird or something you've never done before?
I'll have to think about that. I don't think I really have gotten any strange requests yet. But I'm assuming that one day there will be a couple strange requests. But I will pretty much, I'll paint anything.
You've done a lot of work throughout your time as an artist, and I know that some of the ones that really stand out again are like the Trunks and the Dead Future Gohan, the Goku versus Majin Vegeta. Now, are those ones your, I guess, your favorite arts that you've done, or do you have any other ones that you've done that you really liked?
The showcase pieces are my favorite. One favorite is the first time I dabbled in blacklight paints was it was a 24 by 48 inch Father Son Kamehameha, and I did that one in blacklight, and it was probably one of my favorite pieces. So yeah, that one, the Trunks one, the Maj Vegeta one, those are probably my favorite pieces of all time.
And I know you also you do like Twitch streaming sometimes too. when you're doing your art. Are you still currently doing that, or have you um, did you take some time off from doing that?
I took some time off from doing that just because I got really sick, had a kidney stone, all of that. So I took some time off. But I've been talking to a couple fans of mine and they really want to see me live stream again. So I actually might be doing it tomorrow and maybe starting back up. The problem is the consistency. Because I do have a regular job and I work second shift, when I get off of work, I'll start streaming at 2 in the morning, so I won't have that many viewers or, yeah, that many people watching me because it's so late at night. But I am planning to get back into it hopefully soon.
And have do you have any crowdfunding or like any like Patreon or anything like that for your artwork, or is it all just based off of your commissions and what you have on your website?
It's all based on my commissions and what I have on my website and social media. I don't have any crowdfunding or Patreon. I think through Twitch, I have a donate button where it's called the Vegas Art Fund because my goal is to move to Las Vegas. It's a dream of mine. So you can donate through my Twitch, but that's about it.
Yeah, because I know like with Twitch they have like with the donations, and there's also like these subscription options and stuff like that with people doing the streams and stuff. And I know that recently you've also had to be a part of like Box Lunch and stuff, and a lot of the you got to buy like figurines and stuff from there, and even like Funko Pops. So which ones are, I guess, your favorite that you've gotten so far?
My favorite pop is from Hot Topic. I actually was lucky enough to get the Chase version of Future Trunks. So it's the metallic version of long-haired Trunks. So that one is my favorite pop. And they're actually coming out on March 30th with an exclusive pop figure. It's of Naruto, the Sexy Jutsu. So I'm
Yes.
definitely going to be buying that one online when it comes out March 30th.
The Sexy Jutsu Naruto one is a Box Lunch exclusive, so anyone who's listening, that's where it's at.
But my ultimate favorite pop isn't from Box Lunch. It is the Grail of Dragon Ball Z pops, Majin Vegeta, over9000.com exclusive. You can only get this pop if you meet Chris Sabat, voice of Vegeta, and get his autograph. So Chris Sabat actually has them at all the conventions, so you can only buy it at the convention when you meet Chris Sabat. And I got it autographed.
Nice. Yeah, I tried buying that one when he first launched them on the website or on his website, but it crashed. So I never attempted again. And there's people on eBay and stuff like that try to flip the product and stuff. So I was just like, never mind, I won't get it. But that's awesome. That pop itself is very awesome. That it's a battle version of Majin Vegeta. And it's I like that it was just a Chris Sabat exclusive. So that's pretty cool that you were able to get your hands on that. And do you only collect anime pops? Do you collect any other type of Funko Pops, like with different themes or anything like that?
I only collect anime pops for now, but I was very tempted at Box Lunch. They have a Duran Duran pops. I don't know if you ever heard of Duran Duran.
I
They're a
don't. I
band
don't think
from
so.
like the 80s.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, that's about it. I pretty much just collect anime pops. I just got one that I really love. It was a GameStop exclusive of Sasuke versus Naruto.
Oh
And
yeah.
the great part about that pop just came out while I was working on the oil painting Sasuke versus Naruto.
Yeah, and I saw that on your Instagram. That was really cool that you had them like the pops in front of the painting that you just did. I thought that was really cool. Before we wrap things up, Crystal, I do want to thank you for the opportunity for jumping on the podcast. But did you have any like shout outs or plugs that you'd like to say?
Most definitely. So, a friend of mine just created this auction site. It's exactly like eBay, but we're only selling items that you can buy at conventions. So it's pretty much for vendors and artists. And then you go on there and you can find a whole bunch of stuff that you would find at a convention. And I am currently starting to sell my original paintings and posting art prints that are for sale through this website. It's called treasuretroveauction.com. Just gonna look on here and make sure. Yes, that's it. So treasuretroveauction.com. That's Trove. And you guys should definitely check it out. There's going to be a lot of cool stuff on there. By the time this podcast is released, should be totally up and running. Right now, there's only a few posts or auctions and items for sale, but it'll definitely, by the time this podcast is up, it'll definitely have a lot more growth and a lot more items for sale. So definitely shout out to treasuretroveauction.com. And then if you guys want to check out my Instagram or Facebook, you just search in Anime Oils and you can look at all the artwork I've done in the past and pictures of my booths at conventions. I have a website. It's animeoils.com. Pretty much it's all going to be Anime Oils. And then if you guys are interested in any commissions, you can either send me a PM through Instagram or Facebook, or just send me an email. And then, would you want to post my email?
Yeah, I'll have
yeah, because
all that information on the
yeah,
descriptions on SoundCloud, YouTube, and Apple Podcasts. So fans who are, if they are interested, that they can look up those the links, and I'll have all that ready for them.
yeah,
Uh,
sounds good.
but yeah, this has been great to catch up with you. I know that we've only spoke through email because of the commissions, but this is a great opportunity to get to know you as an artist as well, Krystal. So again, thank you so much, and I really look forward to once this pandemic ends and once we start, or at least when I start working again, I'm gonna try to get more commissions done by you too, because I have like this whole, since I already started this whole Demon Slayer stuff from you, I might as well just get like more of the characters that I like done by you. That way it'll be like a nice little collection there. But again, thank you for doing this, and I hope that things go well for you in the future, and hopefully by the time this episode is up, that everything is pretty much done and over with. But hopefully that when you go back to conventions, you get your name out there more, and I hope nothing but the best for you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it, and thank you so much for having me on this podcast.
Okay, so before we sign off, I just want to thank LP and Hmong Productions for letting me use their tracks for the podcast. Make sure you guys check out their stuff too, which will be all in the descriptions and stuff like that for YouTube, SoundCloud, and Apple Podcast. And this is episode 50. Thank you guys for listening, and have a great day. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to follow, like, share, subscribe, and rate Spoiler Force Podcast. For comments, questions, or criticism, you can email me at rickyvang92@gmail.com or message me on Instagram at instagram.com/rickyvang92.